Hello everyone. So as you all can see, we are at Nannikitala and this is fresh and pure water coming straight from the Kanneli rainforest. So today we'll be doing our video. So anyways, so yeah, our video for today will be here. Hope you all enjoyed. Welcome back, Mr. Rasta. So in the previous video we spoke about planning, and in this video we'll be talking about support in ISO 14001. So how do you feel about this environment and setup?
Thank you, Harshan. Now we are in a different location. It's a nice location, and then support part is very important because all previous element we develop action plan, but without support, some resources, you can't execute it. So this is all about execution part, and then getting a fund or like some sort of a different support from management. So this element talk about that part.
So let's start with the resources. So you gave like a small brief about it. So can we go in depth? So what does the standard expect here?
Sure. Basically, Harshan, say for example, now you might need experts. Say for example, now you say, okay, I need to cut down my energy consumption by 5%. So, but you don't have any idea where you can cut it down. So you might go for a energy audit. So to do energy audit, you need an expert, people who have experience. If you don't have energy expert, so you bring down the expert. So you need funding for that, and then you might need to get a calibrated equipment. Or maybe after they give you a kind of a feedback, okay, this is where you maybe your compressor, maybe your chiller areas, you can cut it down. So then again, you need to improvement. You might need a budget. So it can be financial, it can be like infrastructure, or it can be a competence. So those can be part of the resources. So if I elaborate that, so based on your project plan, you need some inputs. So this is where the standard requirement coming from.
So that connects to competence, right?
Of course, because see, for example, if you give a kind of a input saying energy cut down, energy reduction plan, so your people should be able to understand and implement that part. So that is the part of competency. So and like if you identify your like you say effluent plant, now we are in the water. So effluent plant running is a kind of a key significant area. Then of course your people who operate it, they should have the proper competence. So mainly we are looking at competency, especially in significant areas. Especially somebody should know about the legal requirement. So that can part of the competency. So that's the area standard basically looking at right now.
Interesting. So communication is another key part, isn't it? So let's talk about that.
You need to have proper communication. Say for example, your internal, external. Say external communication very important. So if you have to communicate with your legal authority, so they will give you a timeline. Every quarter you have to submit this report. So who's going to communicate that part? That responsibility has to be there. And then internal communication. There are some aspects top management should communicate with the entire organization. And there are some areas special competent person, specialized person should communicate. So those are the kind of requirements. So in your communication metrics, you can develop engineer, what are the things he should communicate. The CEO, what are the things he should communicate. And then HR manager, what are the things they should communicate. So that will be very defined process. So everybody knows, okay, this is my communication area. So standard very clear about that part.
That's interesting. We spoke about communication, and of course we can't forget documentation.
That is very interesting area because see, there are some documents standard demand you to develop. So for example, policy, you need to document and then communicate. So there are areas you need to document, like say for example, legal requirement, legal monitoring, because if you have a proper documentation, it's very easy to monitor. So there's an area document control, reporting, record keeping, and then document updating. All these things has to be there. So this is one critical area in the standard. So certain requirement you need to document, and then then you can use it continuation. Especially the monitoring format, you need to have proper format because then people started to fill up all the required information. So this is one key area in ISO 14001 2015 standard.
Thank you, Mr. Rasta. So could we have a summary of what we spoke about and also your final advice for viewers?
Of course. See, this is where top management involved and give you a funding, or maybe not only the money, the required resources. So if you don't have a proper implementation, say infrastructure for your environment management system, then of course your program will be failed. right? So required competencies, required funding, and everything will be like comes under this particular element. So this is very important part, and then top management has a bigger role in this element. So this is very important part. Right. Thank you, Harshan. So let's go to the next location now.
Yeah, I think it's about to rain. We'll have to switch to
Yeah,
indoors.
good to have a, like, water top and bottom
Yeah.
view. Look at this fellow.